Hey there, beautiful people. Happy, wonderful Wednesday, and thank you for joining me today as I go through day 4 of my read of my newest release, Spilling the Tea. It is available online, and Barnes& and Noble seems to be the ones getting it out the quickest. So if you want it quick and in a hurry, you may want to order from Barnes& and Noble. Thank you for joining my live readings. I like having you here, and I love going through this experience with you. Spilling the tea is not a gossip column. I know I had some people that say spilling the tea. Isn't that like spilling, the business? Yeah, it is. And I guess it kind of is because it's spilling your business. But spilling the tea is actually a 5-step process that I go over with the process called tea therapy. It's something I use with my clients. It is one of the many techniques that I use. This one, however, has had the heaviest weight as far as feeling almost an instant change, seeing life change in big leaps and bounds. It's just something I felt led to write. I had a client one time ask me if there's anything that I had that was, hands-on, like a book about any of my techniques, because her husband was not going to go see a therapist. He was not going to go see a coach. He was not going to go to church. He was a self-learner and refused to talk to anybody about what was going on. But she knew, as somebody who loves him and loves his soul, that he really needed to get help, because here he was at this point in his life, and he was still struggling to make sense of his past, and not even make sense of it, but to live with it. So that's what inspired me to actually write the technique that this book is about. So this is a guide. This is not a novel. And I know I've had some people ask if it was my memoir. No, it's not my memoir either. I will be letting you know more about that soon. So where we were at last time when we were reading, we were in chapter 2, and we are almost done with it. Again, this is a big whopping 50 something pages. It's an easy read. It's great to have in paperback, even though it is available on, I believe it's the ebook or the Kindle version. I suggest buying the book, because you will need to refer to the instructions more than once, especially if you do this tea therapy throughout the years. And so it's good to have it. It's also one of those books you may want to have in case you maybe see somebody who came over and you feel like they're struggling, and you're like, you know what, I have the book for you. I know for me, it was like a thing. When people come visit, I always gave them a book. I don't know what started that for me, but I always felt like if I could leave them with something. And so I'll be like, hey, have you ever read? And it's one of those books that I find very valuable. And they'll be like, no. I'm like, hey, I got an extra one. I usually order books in twos, because I feel like if I find value in it, they will too. So before I go any further, let me go ahead and turn this off so that we are not being bothered by calls and sounds. Here we go. Why now? It happens for people at different times in their life. I have clients that didn't start looking deeper into themselves until they were in their 70s. It is never too late to do this work, and it is never too early to start this work. It is important to know that healing is not linear. It is more like a puzzle at times. One day you will find all the fitting pieces. Then the next day, nothing seems to fit. However, everything you need is in that box, one piece at a time. The same is true with healing. Some stages are frustrating, and it seems everything you try doesn't fit. But the truth is, everything you need is within you. It just requires you to work on it. The healed you is within you. You just have to be present and willing to put it together. It delights me to see the younger generation taking time to find their true selves. I have heard many call the younger generation lazy. I won't get into that debate, but I will say this. The younger generation is realizing how important it is to understand oneself, and to make what's in their best interest a priority. They are finding ways to be creative and to do things smarter and not harder. They've learned how to use technology to do the heavy lifting and create an income from it. So I will say this. May their journey to their best self, which benefits us all, continue to forge forward, and may they pick up a rake or tool and do a little labor along the way. A little yard work never hurts anybody. New experiences call for a new way of thinking. Remember that sentence as I introduce you to tea therapy. Let me repeat that for you. New experiences call for new ways of thinking. Anytime you hesitate in making a positive change in your life and start to quit on yourself, remember that sentence. If you want to produce experience and become your best self, you have to do some things that may seem unfamiliar, less traditional, and quite frankly, unheard of at times. If you don't try to do life differently than you have been doing all these years, then you already know your future. Just take today and fast forward 20 years. If you don't change mentally and emotionally, there will be no change. You will just get older. Your physical features may change, but your mental health won't, at least not in a positive way. I am sure you can look in your life right now and think of someone who is still doing the same thing, talking the same things, and dealing with the same things, and dealing with things the same way they used to in high school. Yet they wonder why life is treating them the same way. They have not moved forward. They are stuck on the repeat button. If you want the most of yourself and your life, you have to look into your present moment and say, I'm ready to grow. Today is a new day and a new me. I'm ready for a shift. I'm ready to peel back the layers and get to my best self. I am ready to do the work. Do you want to feel at peace? Do you want to be mentally and emotionally free? You have to accept where you are right now and be ready to go forward, to be vulnerable, open, and to make a decision to do the work. Don't contaminate your future with the backwash of your past. Lady B. That's all the reading I'll do for today, because we are now in chapter 3. Chapter 3 is interesting because it gets us right before you're almost there, step-by-step guided tea therapy. But chapter 3 is called Going In. And let me tell you, we start to go in. So I hope that you'll join me for that too. But one thing I want to talk about is this came to me the other day, and I have to ask you the same thing that I was led to ask myself. What if I told you that your treasure, all the things within you, your $1 million, your perfect idea of what success is for you, what if it was to be found in the rubble of your life? Would you feel as hopeless as you do in hard times? I had to stop and look at that. And I was like, no, I mean, if I thought that going through hard times would lead me to the greatest successes in my life and where I wanted to be, I would embrace them. I'd be like, woohoo, hard time. Okay, it's good. I know it's going to come and I know it's going to go. But that's not how it feels when you're in it, because you really don't see that. You don't see your gains when you're in your pains. Do you see what I'm saying? So if we start to look at it like, we can't have a healed version. Take that back. We can't have a healed vision in a hurt soul. It's really hard to believe that things are going to get better if you keep repeating your brokenness. If you keep that smudge, so to speak, on the inside of you. And I don't know that we're always aware that we're doing that, or that we have that smudge, because as I've mentioned before in the readings that we've been doing, we just kind of slip it under the rug, or we'll have a success of some sort, and then that gives us permission to forget that we still need to heal other things. Well, this worked out. It's great. So, hey, everything's going to be great. I don't need to heal. I don't need to face my past. I can go ahead and keep doing what I need to, because see, this happened for me. Yeah. Until the next thing doesn't. One of the hardest things for me as I was healing, and let me tell you, healing is a lifetime process. It's a lifetime journey. I think we just get better and better and better. So I don't want to broadcast a message that says once you get to a certain point, you never grow anymore, or you never have challenges anymore. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is you can honor the challenges from a healed version of yourself, allowing you to go through them better, allowing you to not drop your frequency and your vibration so low that you start attracting more problems to confirm the fact you're in a problem. You're able to actually stay elevated and stay in a state of awareness, allowing you to still feel great about your life and knowing this vibration too shall pass. I'm passing through this vibration. I'm passing through this moment, but I'm firm in who I am. I am love, and I love myself, and I'm confident that I am here and that my life is purposed, and that I am an important component of this thing that we live in called the world. One of my challenges in that, back to what I was saying now that I went off track, is echoes were the hardest thing for me. And we call them by different name, but for me, I call them echoes. So let's just say I was on a drive and I wasn't necessarily feeling at my optimum place. I was feeling low and I was feeling maybe a little bit sad. Echoes would start to happen. So because our subconscious wants something to connect with the way that it feels, if I was feeling low, it would give me a low vibrational thought. It would give me something that confirmed that where I'm at was the right place to be, because we attract what we are. So if I was in a nice, high vibration, joyful, happy, then I would have happy thoughts, because I would need something to match where my vibration was, what my frequency was. Without going too heavy into that, the echoes. So I would hear things that I had done wrong. I would hear things, my mind would replay experiences that were probably from the lower end of who I was, things that I did when I was 17 or 19 or 20 or 30 and the thing is, those things are no longer real. They were only real in the moment. But I'll say this. Can you go back in your past and recreate that moment? The answer is going to be no every time. But we spend a lot of time trying to recreate it in our mind. Had I done it this way, if I would have done this, I hear this, and this is not me being funny. I hear many times with guys, for instance, they'll go, you know what? If I would have had more support, if my father would have let me do what I wanted to do, if I would have had this, I could have been in the NFL, I could have been in the NBA, I could have been this, or I could have been that. And I hear women say, oh, if I would have had the support, I could have been, an actress, or I could have been these things. And we look for reasons to attach to something that let us down. And it's very easy to point fingers, and it's very easy to say what if, and it's very easy to pretend that we would know how things would have turned out if we would have had something else. But we don't know that. Why do we make up a story about something that is no longer there? We're wasting our time. We're wasting our energy. And it doesn't feel good to go back into Pandora's box and try to create new toys. It doesn't exist. Or we'll go so far into the future that we miss all of the opportunity that's in front of our face. Oh, well, I need to do this that way. In 10 years, I can do that. I'm not saying having goals that are 10 years out or 5 years out, that's not a good thing. But what I'm saying is, be here, be now. Hopefully you'll be better the better version of you every day. And in 10 years, you have no clue how great you'll be. But what you can do is focus on your right now and to continue to water the seeds of greatness within you. So anytime those echoes that I'm talking about, where maybe you think about, oh, if I would have loved this person a little bit longer, well, if I would have held my kids, for me, that was my hardest one. Being a single mom, I'd always want to go back and say, oh, if I could have hugged them a little bit longer, if I could have been a stay-at-home mom and created with them instead of getting them to daycare and going back to work weeks without, after having them. And I had so many parental regrets. And then when something would go cattywampus in their life, or maybe they went through a learning curve, I would blame that on my raising of them. I would say, oh, and so these echoes would keep coming, right? And I had to heal, and I had to forgive, and I had to love and appreciate me. In here, in this book, Spilling the Tea, I am very, very transparent. Because when you go through doing this tool, the tea therapy, you will also do one on yourself. And it's one of the hardest ones to do. And you realize, wow, I've been holding on to disliking myself for a very long time. I have really been talking trash to myself inside. I've really been blaming myself for things which have created an opportunity to reinvent that experience over and over again, because I keep confirming it in my mind. So echoes, that was hard. Or I go, well, if I would have went to college, I hear a lot of people say that, well, I would have been in this and I would have been in that. And you don't know what you didn't do, but you can know what you're going to do going forward. The what if, the rabbit trail, the echoes of decisions that come back. I do offer tools to help with that. Tea therapy is one of them. It's the beginning of that, but it's not the only one. God bless you. And thank you for being here with my reading. Make sure that you tell yourself at least 2 times a day, I can, I will, And I'm so worth it. Yes, you are. God bless you. And remember, awareness is power. Happy healing, everybody.